Welcome /malicious compliance. Couldn't join a club, that would have you. Some years ago, I was finally out of debt and ready to start investing for my future. But I didn't have a clue how. That's when I heard about a national organization that promoted investment clubs, offering support and tools to help people like me learn about investing by doing it. I liked the idea, get smarter, play low stakes, and maybe have a beer or two while you do it. So I told a few friends, they talked to their friends, and pretty soon, we had a budding investment club. Since we were all friends of friends, organizing went smoothly. We elected officers and adopted a simple charter based on the national group's templates. Minimum monthly dues were set at $10, an amount any one of us could afford to throw away. But any member could contribute more than the minimum if they liked. And, to build up our investing pot, most of us did. Individual contributions bought shares in the club's holdings, like stock in a corporation. Higher contributions meant more shares meant more voting power when we made club decisions. As we got rolling, a few more people heard about the club and expressed interest. So we created a little process, attend 3 meetings as the guest of a member. Then, if you're still interested, club members decide whether to offer an invitation. We always did. Sign the charter, pay this month's dues, and you're in. Most new members paid extra for at least a while to catch up to the voting power of the founding members. So everyone stood on more or less equal footing. By year 2, we had settled into a friendly routine, holding monthly meetings that were one part socializing, one part learning, and one part considering what to do with our growing little pot of cash. We picked a few stocks, starting buying a few shares at a time, and portfolio performance was added to the monthly treasurer's report. We cheered each modest gain and learned from our small losses. Then came Pat. Pat was an outlier in our friend group. Most of us knew her, but few knew her well. She had a reputation for being a little too loud, a little too blunt, a little too cocky, a little too rude. But she was also known to be smart. In a club focused on learning, more smart couldn't hurt, right? Besides, our well-respected president had brought her in. And right away, Pat proved she was smart. She had reviewed our charter and our past minutes before she came to her first meeting. She asked solid questions about past decisions and our reasoning. She listened respectfully to the education and stock study presentations, probing politely, and made mostly appreciative comments after each meeting. Just a bit of smartass thrown in once in a while, but we could handle a bit. After her 3rd meeting, we sent her to the next room while we discussed inviting her to join us. There were a few misgivings expressed. We had all heard stories about Pat's capacity for unpleasantness, after all. But President said, I warned her pretty bluntly that she needs to behave when she's here. We're all friends, but this is business. Money is serious. So I told her, keep yourself in check. Leave your attitude outside. Ultimately, everyone agreed. She had indeed behaved. We had no reason to doubt her sincere interest. So we called Pat back in and President said, congratulations, Pat. Just pay your dues and sign here. With a flourish, Pat handed treasurer a $10 bill, and everyone applauded as she signed the charter. Then she said, thank you, all, thank you. But frankly, you really don't have any way to keep me out. The room got quieter. Then she turned to treasurer and said, now, next month, if I'm interpreting your little reports correctly, all I have to do is give you, and I'll have equal voting rights. Is that right? That's about right. Yes, came the answer. And if I were to give you that, plus, and here, she pointed at the bottom line of the club's total holdings, I'd become the new majority shareholder, right? I suppose. And then I'd be in charge of all club decisions, declared Pat. That's right. Unless you all can keep ponying up more cash than I can, there's nothing you can do to stop me from running this club like my own private account with nearly double my money to play with, is there? And now that I've signed your silly charter, you don't even have any way to kick me out. So, see you all next month. She smirked, turned and left. The door had just barely closed when the room exploded. She was joking, right? Ah, hell no. The nerve, could she really do that? That can't be real. How big a mistake did we just make? Wow, what a class A bitch. But as we looked over our template-based charter, we found she was right. There were requirements for tax reporting, Office of Fiscal Responsibilities, bank and brokerage relationships, conflicts of interest, and a host of other issues we'd never faced and never expected to face. There was boilerplate language about how to buy out a voluntarily withdrawing member. There was a provision allowing us to involuntarily withdraw someone who didn't keep up with dues and/or attendance. But we had no cap on individual member contributions, and no provision allowing us to kick out a stacker holder, so long as they continued to pay their dues and attend meetings. And we now realized that, if she could make good on her threat to buy majority holding, Pat could simply outvote any attempt to amend our charter. A more elegant solution probably existed, but within 20 minutes, someone came up with the nuclear option. 2 minutes later, we agreed to launch it. We accepted assignments, then went our separate ways to prepare for next month's meeting. That evening, everyone arrived a bit more promptly and settled a lot more quietly than usual. Pat looked smug as she took a seat, seeming not to care that no one spoke to her. She was ostentatiously fanning herself with a personal check. Too bad we never saw it, so we'll never know if she really was ready to put her money where her loud mouth had been. President took the floor. Before I call the meeting to order, I have a personal announcement to make. I made a really poor recommendation to all of you last month. I feel the bad judgment I showed means I'm not fit to be your president. I'm presenting my letter of resignation and my voluntary withdrawal from the club. And solemnly gave the letter to secretary. Pat looked like she'd been slapped, but she said nothing. Treasurer spoke up. Just so you all know, President spoke to me earlier about this decision, so I've already calculated withdrawal payout and have it ready, according the terms of our charter. And President took the check. Vice President spoke next. President, you weren't alone in that decision. I voted with you, and I also regret my poor judgment. Here is my letter of resignation and withdrawal. Treasurer said, and here is your withdrawal payout, prepared as we discussed. And on it went. In small clusters at first, then all in a rush. Each club member declared they'd made a terrible decision, presented a letter, and collected an already prepared check. Sometime during the rush, Pat stopped being silent. Okay, I see. Yeah, I get it. Seriously, you've made your point. That's enough. Now, you don't have to keep up this act. Knock it off already, you fuckers. But we didn't. With all the letters collected, secretary added them to the back of a fat binder containing copies of all the club minutes and gave the binder to Pat. Your next club secretary will need this. Treasurer was right behind with a similar binder of financial records, a $10 bill on top. Here are all your club's accounting records and remaining assets. President added the signed charter to the stack. So, Pat, looks like you're now a club of one. You win. Good luck. And goodbye. We all stood and stared silently until she shoved the stack to the floor and saw herself, sputtering, to the door. Within 10 minutes, we had signed our newly upgraded charter, re-elected our officers, torn up all our payout checks, and put our new club back to business as usual. Okay, maybe just a bit more jiggly and a little more pleased with ourselves than usual. Never saw Pat again. Didn't care. Edit. Oh my. Thank you, kind Redditors, for the gold, for the wholesome award, for the many attaboys and comments. I'm blushing. So this is what good Reddit karma feels like. Edit again, platinum, and a bravo award. Gracious, I'm getting kudos I've never seen before. Many thanks, I'm humbled. Edit 3, GOAT award. Take my energy award, press F award. Come on, y'all are messing with me, right? And with one tail, I go from the 239 karma I've been looking at for months, to over 7k. You are too kind. Thank you, all. And thank you, Pat.